This podcast is brought to you by our excellent supporters at Patreon. Visit patreon.com/dissectingthe80s to find out how you can get almost a dozen episodes of bonus content for this show. Every other month, you get a bonus episode at the $5 tier. And when you sign up, you get access to all of the things we've ever posted all at once. So visit patreon.com/dissectingthe80s and learn a little more. Welcome to Dissecting the 80s. I am Trip Lano, one half of the Mega Podcasting Powers. And with me, as always, is my tag team partner, a man who would be able to track down Michael Douglas across any country in the known universe, the Macho Man Drew.
Andrew Lano. More Kathleen Turner.
I think it's both.
He's not my fave.
Not your fave, huh?
No. I learned that watching this movie because I don't watch a lot of Michael Douglas, it turns out, and I just...
So if you don't like him here, you're never going to like him, because this, I feel, is the most likable Michael Douglas character I've ever watched. Because he's normally, I think, magnetic. Like, I think Michael Douglas is always magnetic, but rarely charismatic in the, like, oh, I'd like to hang out with that guy. And here, I feel like he gets a little bit of both, personally.
This felt like a Kurt Russell role to me.
Yeah, he at one point in the plane, I was like, he is literally wearing Snake Plissken's clothes.
Yeah, I mean, the name Jack T. Colton is a Kurt Russell last name. Like,
yeah, that's a John Carpenter name too.
Yeah, sure. Oh yeah, but like
that's a John Carpenter name.
Watching this, I was like, as much as I love Kathleen Turner, this could easily have been a Kurt Russell Goldie Hawn vehicle.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I do like it. I think that movie is also great, the one that you're describing.
Yeah. Because I love Kathleen Turner. I want more. I want more of her. But I was just like, yeah, Michael Douglas just doesn't. I think he's got douchebag face.
He does, absolutely, and he played like primarily douches.
Yeah, like Gordon. Like he looks like
Gordon Gekko.
Gordon Gekko, which obviously he played Gordon Gekko. But like he's got that like Hollywood, like not Hollywood, like Wall Street douchebag face.
Absolutely. Yeah, or even like Falling Down, which is a movie I haven't seen in a very long time. You know. He's awful in that movie. Like, he's a racist piece of shit. Like, people are, kind of like this man's at the end of his rope and is, going crazy or whatever. But the character is, he's awful. He's just like an openly racist turd. But, Michael Douglas, very compelling, pulls it off. But yeah, I agree. He has a gross face. However, allegedly very generous lover with that whole
the throat cancer thing.
Yeah, although I did recently read that was all like a bluff, because he actually had some other kind of cancer, and it was like a
smokescreen
that is. Yeah, like the other type of cancer was so invasive. It was like jaw cancer, and the doctor was like, "You should say you have throat cancer because it's way more treatable." And I think they were worried he's going to get like fired off this movie or something. I don't remember all the details. Anyway, it's the Michael Douglas. Goes down so much that he gave himself cancer is apparently apocryphal.
Yes.
This is, of course, the first episode for this year's Listener Request Month, and our pick comes to us all the way from Vancouver, the home of the all-dressed potato chip. Canada, I guess.
I don't know Vancouver.
I ate them in Vancouver, but I'm sure you could eat them everywhere in Canada. This is Barbara, so let's hear it from Barbara.
Hi guys, this is Barbara calling from Vancouver, BC in Canada, and my submission for Listener Request Month is Romancing the Stone, 1984. I think it's fantastic, one of my favorites. It's just the perfect action, adventure, romance, great cast, but also I find very funny, and even funnier knowing that it's a Michael Douglas production, starring Michael Douglas, making Michael Douglas look cool. I just think it's great, and I think you guys would like it. Maybe I don't know. I just think you would. I don't know. But either way, thank you guys for the pod and for everything, and have a good day. Bye.
Thank you so much, and thank you to everyone who sent requests in this month. We love getting to hear from all of you and helping us program the show. It's nice to take a few weeks off and let our brains rest from all the scheduling we do.
Yeah.
This is one that's been on the radar for forever. Of course, it's Romancing the Stone, and we watched it, so you know what that means.
We gotta go back. We gotta go dissect the 80s. It's your glowing MacGuffin! Something about your glowing MacGuffin!
When the mega powers explode!
I'm talking about the 80s. Oh, yeah.
Great Scott!
cream of the crop. Oh, yeah. Mega powers, yeah!
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
Yeah, so I've had this as like, oh, that's probably a great podcast episode. Oh, and there's a sequel. Maybe we do a month of this somehow. And then it, frankly, if I was better attuned, we would have done this and the sequel probably the month that the Lost City came out, because it is just a straight rip of this movie.
Yeah, that's what I was reading online, that apparently that movie is just sort of an unofficial loose sequel. Or remake or whatever.
Remake, yeah. To be clear, I have a lot of defense for that movie. I liked it. I thought it was a blast. It's like a really fun time at the movies. My wife liked it a lot too. It mostly took place outside. There's definitely some green screen in it, but there's like, they actually went to a jungle somewhere. Did they go across the world? I don't know, but they were definitely in a jungle at some point. Not every scene, of course.
So I think they did for that new J-Lo movie.
Oh, Mom Wick, you mean?
Yes. Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, so I watched that movie without sound on a plane.
John Wick?
No, the J-Lo movie.
Oh, wait. The J-Lo movie doesn't come out until May, so it must be a different movie.
No, it came out. They were like with her. It's like a destination wedding. It's her and
Oh, no. Okay, there is a J-Lo John Wick ripoff that comes out on Mother's Day. It's called like Mom or Mother or something like that on Netflix. That's what I thought you were talking about.
No, I'm talking about the like destination wedding one with her and Jennifer Coolidge.
Got it. No, I don't know that. I'm unfamiliar with that one.
I'm only familiar.
You did some screen peeping.
I did. Well, because
listeners,
it was Spirit Air. I almost said Spirit Halloween. It was Spirit Airline.
Well, same energy, honestly.
Very similar energy.
Spirit Airlines is kind of like, hey, we found these planes. You want to fly in them?
So everything's on top of each other.
Used to be a Bed Bath and Beyond. Now it's a Halloween store. Don't go in the Beyond section. It's all skeletons.
There's gonna be so much room in a Bed Bath & Beyond for backstock.
Mm-hmm. There's gonna be lots of like elaborate setups that bored employees get to put together. Anyway, tell us about your screen peeping.
So I had put a bunch of audio things, like, because I do YouTube Premium, so you can download things, and like wasn't really thinking. I was like, just whatever. And so I downloaded a bunch of audio stuff, and then immediately my ADHD brain was like, we need some visual stimuli here. And so I tried playing my Switch, and then I like glanced over, and the like bro-y dude athlete guy next to me, I saw Jennifer Coolidge on his phone, and I was like, wait, what? And then I was trying to figure out what movie this. I was like, what movie is this? And I was like, some very attractive actress is in her underwear on a bed trying to like draw some guy's attention. So first it was the game of what is he watching, and then I realized what it was, and I was like, this seems kind of fun. He has his subtitles on, so I can follow along. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, is this weird? Because he would occasionally glance in my direction, and I had to like quickly draw my attention elsewhere, or like close my eyes, or pretend to be like whatever.
You were pretending to be asleep.
I was pretending to not be watching his screen, because I was like, is this weird?
Yes.
I didn't know if this was a like, I have anxiety thing or what, but I was like, maybe this is very weird, and this man...
It's not very weird. I would be like a little, like, I gotta be like, if you're not watching something like pervy, it doesn't seem like a big deal to me, you know?
Yeah, it was just like a movie. I just happened to also be watching and reading along.
Yeah. Oh, he had the subtitles.
Yeah, he had the subtitles on. So I was like, sure. I know what these actors sound like. Darcy Carden's in there. I know what all these people sound like. And if not, I can make it up in my head. So yeah, I was like, my brain can fill in the gaps, and I can do...
Sure.
I can figure this out on my own. But I just had to constantly like avert my eyes, or like I put on my sunglasses at one point, so I would just like kind of give me carte blanche.
Oh, that's a hoot. That is so good.
Yeah, I was like, I've now gone so far into it that if it wasn't weird, I think it is now weird. Yes, and I can't get my claws out of this, so we just got to ride it all the way to Florida.
The idea of the guy like shooting a glance over and you being like a little kid and being caught, like quickly shutting your eyes and tilting your head a little is, I can't even continue.
Yeah, very similar energy to that.
Yes. Excuse me. Yeah, that's delightful. The last time I was on a plane, I had my Switch and I got it out and I was very excited about this. And I looked over to my left and the row of 3 people in a family together, each had individually pulled out their Switch and we're all playing Switch. And so the whole row of the plane was all Switch playing. It was.
I love that.
Yeah.
You should have been like, hey, what's your friend code? Let's play some Mario Kart.
I probably should have. I gotta get yours. I keep forgetting to do that. I'm too dumb to figure it out.
I also wish they weren't like a fucking your parents' Wi-Fi password.
Yeah, right.
Like, why can't it just be like a Medicare ID or like some short with like a combo of letters and numbers without being like
why can't I just make it up?
Because it's not like a screen name. It's like a link. It's I guess for your specific
to
system.
The console. Yeah. Still feels like you could set that when you turn it on and be taken care of.
Yeah, probably.
Anyway, let's get into Romancing the Stone a little bit. Love this intro here. We've got
very Back to the Future vibes with the score.
Yeah, it's actually stolen score here. The score in the intro as we show the cabin may have been Silvestri, but the score when the woman and the guy get together is lifted from another movie.
Yeah, I knew that one, but the real score of the movie is
yes, it's good. I mean, we like Silvestri around here. You know, it's a good Silvestri score.
I went into this movie
really
very blind.
Like no trailer even.
No, I've seen the poster and that's it. But in today's age, posters mean nothing because streaming services change them for depending on who's watching.
Right.
Because
right.
What's happening anymore?
Yeah, like you get the like gay friendly poster.
I get the one with like a girl boss on it.
Yeah.
Like my Resident Evil poster is like the bitchy woman behind a desk with an aggressive bob, and my boyfriend's is like zombies. And I was like, well, hang on.
They're like, we know how to sell this to you.
I understand that these are both in the same show.
Your poster for Jurassic Park is just Laura Dern standing with her hands on her hips.
Yeah, and again, like it's, I'm gonna be like, well, hang on, I thought this was a lady movie. There's significantly less lady in this movie than I thought there would be.
I had no idea there would be dinosaurs in this film.
Yeah, that my poster has not a dinosaur to be found.
Right. It's just, like I said, it's just Laura Dern, hands on hips, staring into the middle distance.
It's whatever variation of the I Care a Lot poster that they can come up with for whatever show.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like other really famous movies that like I'm trying to imagine what your Goodfellas poster looks like.
It's the mom in the kitchen.
Yeah,
a beleaguered older mother who's trying to keep her house together. Sign me up.
Yeah. Exactly. It's Lorraine Bracco like dragging the kids into the prison visitation room or something.
My Jaws is just Lorraine
with the bandana on.
Yeah, Lorraine with the bandana with a hand on the head, looking a little exasperated.
That's a great one. Anyway, we get like
there's a lot of D. Wallace in my trailer posters.
It's just all D. Wallace.
Variations of D. Wallace. 50 Shades of D.
I'm just trying to think of other movies where there's like basically like Goodfellas. Lorraine Bracco is excellent in, but she's probably on screen for like 17 cumulative minutes. I'm exaggerating a bit, but I'm trying to think of other movies like
where it's like the woman is not the key, but that's what they would shove in front of my face.
Well, like your poster for The Thing is just a picture of the computer because it has
yes, exactly.
What's her face's
Adrienne
Barbeau's voice. It's just the computer with like a little sound coming out of it.
little like sound like electricity lines.
Yeah, I was like, there's got to be a movie with no women. Oh, The Thing.
Lawrence of Arabia is another one.
Yeah,
it's just a picture of sand.
Yeah. I will say the poster I get for Lawrence of Arabia, he has so much eyeliner on that, like, if you blinked, you might didn't look right. You could think it was a woman.
I've never seen that movie because I have no desire to. I think it is.
Yeah.
It is in the quadrant of not for me and not gonna watch it.
It's literally 4 hours long.
Yeah. No, thank you. But every time I see that poster, I'm like, that is so much goddamn eyeliner. Like that's like a middle school sixth grade middle school play
Emo
amount.
kid.
No.
Oh yeah.
A play amount of eyeliner. It's your first play.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a movie that I'm dying to see in 70 millimeter. Like I've never seen it, and I feel like if I'm going to watch it, I need to be like at a theater where I have no distractions.
And a catheter? Like,
well, you get up and pee. There's intermission.
Okay, yeah, but 2 hours till the intermission.
I can make it 2 hours. I this is a little TMI. I went to see Avatar 2. No bathroom break.
Okay.
No
Did you not
bathroom
drink
break.
anything?
I didn't do anything special. I just did. I was just like, I'm just.
Do you bring a drink to the movie then? Are you one of those people?
I will not. I did not. I will occasionally bring a water to the movies or something. I would not do that. I did not do that and would not suggest doing that for Avatar. Too long.
Yeah.
My big problem with Alamo Drafthouse is like I often want to get a beer while I'm there, and then I drink a beer, and then immediately my brain's like, well, we got to get rid of this liquid. And I'm like, well, if it was water, you wouldn't be doing this. Brain's like, don't care. Get it out of me.
Easy in, easy out.
Yeah. I was watching Nope, and I was like trying to go like, okay, like, do I go now or do I
don't know.
wait?
I'm trying to think where in that movie would be the best
There's
place
not a good spot
to go without losing things.
No, there's not a good spot. But I was like, I have to take care of this, and the longer I wait, the more it's going to be like in the climax of the movie. So I waited for a flashback with the monkey.
I was gonna say, I think that the monkey thing, even though those are my favorite parts, and I want like a whole movie of just that.
Yeah,
that's probably where.
Yeah, but that is my big beef with that is my big problem with the Alamo Drafthouse. Is like, oh, you want to get food? Okay, let's get a beer. Okay, and then I drink a beer, and immediately I'm like, well, this was a terrible idea.
Yeah. Speaking of intermission, this is completely unrelated.
Okay, we'll
get back on track.
Find the tracks.
2 seconds.
Rapidly get on the tracks.
They're making a Wicked movie. Mm-hmm. Every high school theater kid is creaming their pants. They're making two fucking movies. I'm mad.
Movies.
I'm so mad.
Stupid.
They're like, well, you can't. They're like, I agree. Defying Gravity is a really powerful moment. It's a very powerful moment. But then they're like, well, you can't just keep the movie going after that song. In the theater, you have an intermission. And I was like, okay, yeah, but like, there's a lot of amazing moments in movies where the movie just kind of keeps going after.
Right.
You give your.
Like 89% of movies ever have a big moment about halfway through. That's like kind of like a normal thing in movies.
What it should be is do Defying Gravity and then give like a 3-minute montage showing the passage of time in Oz and how things have gotten shitty now.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is,
the 2.5 hour musical does not need to be 4 hours minimum of movie. It doesn't.
Right. And
unless you're adding all the weird shit from the book, which you're not.
Right. That's what I was going to say is like, I'm sure they're going to be like, oh, we're going to add in all the stuff from the book.
You're going to add the sex club from the book?
Mm-hmm. The sex club in the book?
It's called the Philosophy Club, and it is people having sex with animals, I think, but lowercase a who don't speak, I think. It's been a while since I read Wicked.
So like just like Toto?
Like a tiger.
Okay.
So in the book, I say animals and animals. Animals, capital A, are animals that can speak. Lowercase.
Like your Cowardly Lion.
Or you saw Wicked, right?
I mean, I don't remember much.
The Goat Man.
Okay.
Is one of them. And then there's lowercase a animals who part of the larger picture of the book is that like there's, racism for all intents and purposes between animals and like
sure.
No animal should speak, blah, 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 blah. But I think in the Philosophy Club, it's like maybe it is a talking tiger. I bet it's talking. But like part of it is like, ooh, they watch like a guy have sex with a lady tiger or something.
The talking tiger has sex with a non-talking tiger as like a sex show?
No, I think it's a human man has sex with a talking tiger. I think. Okay. Again, I haven't read Wicked in a minute.
Yeah. Okay.
But the book is a lot darker and weirder and political than the musical, as I've discussed before.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not like they made a Les Mis movie and they didn't chop it in half and end it with.
Yeah, no shit. One Day More brings down the goddamn house.
Right. Anyway,
I digress.
Tangent Jones over here. 2 people got that reference and were like, "Hey."
I understood that. So, anyways, I went blind in this movie.
Everybody out there in listener land, I need you to don't do this if you're driving, but close your eyes and help us imagine the train car lifting up and back onto the tracks. And then we're going to smoothly go back to talking about the movie, at least for a little bit. So, all right. 1, 2, 3, and it's up.
Hear the pneumatic hydraulic of the theme park ride, bringing the car back to position.
Okay, you went in blind.
I went in very blind, and so, because just looking at the poster, I was like, I can't tell. I was like, for some reason, in my head, I was like, this isn't real indicative, or like she is not normally in this situation, because the poster's like her on his back and they're swinging on a vine.
Yeah, it's a great poster for the record.
It's like 5% too much boardwalk caricature for me.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
Take it out of that. So I was like, I bet it's sort of a was it Slings and Arrows we did with Bette Midler and Outrageous Fortune.
Yeah.
We're like, there are two. I bet she's like not normally in this situation. She gets dragged into it. Sure.
Yeah.
And then the movie starts, and it's like very earnest, like Western.
Yes.
And I was like, well, that's Kathleen Turner's voice.
Yes.
This is not the movie I thought this was going to be. Because this like cold open essentially goes on for a while.
It does. I immediately was like, oh, wow, they really did just rip this movie off for Lost City, because I clocked like, oh, she's a writer, and the narration is because she's writing this scene.
Does it cut to, not Julia Roberts, Sandra Bullock in like a messy top bun with a flannel on?
Yeah. But in the Sandra ones, she's the protagonist of the books.
Oh, I mean, I think that's supposed to be Kathleen Turner in the
right, but in the
it's literally
it is literally Sandy. Yeah, she's like in danger, laying next to this hot hunk, and like there's snakes all around him, and then she's like, "Ugh, I've done snakes so many times," and then the snakes just like you hear like clickety clack, they
just disappear.
Disappear. Yeah. So we do this whole cold open with the book. She's writing it. I have never gotten the impression that the goal of romance novels was to write tearjerkers, but it seems like that is what her intended goal is with all of her writing, is to make people sad.
Or at least that's just what happens to her.
Maybe, but like the editor like twice is like, "Oh, you made me cry," and I'm like, is that what the goal is?
Well, I thought she didn't cry till the end because she's like, "You actually made me cry, and don't tell anyone."
Maybe. But she's crying as she finishes the book that she's narrating here, the Western.
Mm-hmm. A real Jessica Fletcher moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like out of tissues, so she goes to the bathroom, and there's no more toilet paper, but there's like a Post-it on her mirror, and so I was like, oh, she has dementia or something. Because that's like a very common movie like shorthand for this character has dementia.
It is now, but this character is very young to have.
That's why I was shocked. I was like, this? I was like, oh, like, are we getting like a 50 First Dates? Like, what is going on here? Because her house is covered in Post-its of like, turn off the stove and like lock the door, buy more tissues. And so I was like, and then that doesn't go anywhere. So I don't get why it was in the movie.
Yeah, she should be more like forgetty on the trip. I feel like what we're supposed to glean is like she's uptight, she's got her rigid routine, which is better expressed with like a schedule in color-coded blocks than the Post-it notes. I agree with you. I'm not arguing with you at all. I think you make a really good point. I did not consider that until you just said it, but you're totally right that they do set this up, and then you're like, now wait a minute. It definitely is like trying to set up, okay, she's like very boring. She's got a track that her life is on. She likes the track. She just, goes on it repeatedly, and she's got no problems with this. And then, her world gets torn asunder, and she, reacts to it positively.
It like reminded me, I think what they were trying to do was Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman, where like she gets home and she's beleaguered, and she goes through her answering machine, and then the last one is like, hey, Selena, this is Selena. You have to come all the way back to the office because you definitely forgot the notes for the blah, blah, blah.
Oh.
And she's like, ugh. And I was like, I feel like that was the energy they were going for, of like constantly trying to remind her, like, you forgot to buy tissues, you're scatterbrained, or whatever. I don't know what they were trying to say, but it felt like it was that energy.
Yeah, I agree with that. She has quite a cat dinner party as well. Very good cat acting.
Real food. It's not cat food. It is tuna fish.
And then she puts like a little sprig of parsley on the top, which I found delightful. And
Adorable.
I was like, is that something a cat can eat?
I was like, I wonder if a cat can eat that.
But I don't want to go to Tangent Town, but you mentioned 50 First Dates, and I made a little note here and then moved on. The movie's kind of creepy if you think about the premise too hard, huh?
Not really.
Like, he basically tricks that woman into falling for him.
I wouldn't say tricking, because they did fall in love.
Well, she like goes on the same date over and over. Isn't that the idea?
Yeah, I mean, there are 50 of them, you might say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, isn't that a little? It's like I'm gonna trick you into loving me. I'm gonna grind you down.
No, because it resets every day for her. It's not like for him, he's falling deeper in love than she is because he's had 50 and she's only had one.
Right.
So like, I don't think it's that creepy for my
That surprises me. Okay.
perspective. I mean, I haven't seen it in a minute, but maybe it's a Goldie Hawn, Kurt Russell situation where like they're just so dang charismatic that your brain sort of smooths over.
I think that's exactly what it is, because I think it's a cute movie too. But you're like, think about that premise. You're like, now wait a second. Our parents are like throwing phones across their.
Although I bet, I mean, I haven't read anything, but I bet that there's some like neurological like person like doctor was like, actually, this is not uncommon for, people with this kind of memory issue or something. I bet there are people smarter than we have written papers about how that's not creepy or is creepy.
50 First Dates as a thesis for a doctoral dissertation.
Yeah, something like that. Or just like a think piece for fucking BuzzFeed. I don't know.
I mean, that exists for sure. Well, it's like there's a movie I like a lot called About Time that's like this. It's Domhnall Gleeson, and he can like revisit moments in his life by doing a certain thing.
Is that based on a book, right?
Probably.
Is that the one? Because I think it's like Domhnall Gleeson's like a handsome Irishman, right?
Yeah, the redhead guy who was in the Star Wars.
Because I heard that in the book, he and a different version of himself have some fun.
Oh, interesting. That would be fascinating. That's not how it works in the movie, though. He doesn't see himself. He becomes himself.
Maybe I'm thinking of a different one. There's definitely a handsome redhead Irish.
I mean, it's very possible
movie.
the book and the movie have different rules. In the movie version, he can just like, I screwed.
Is it Rachel McAdams?
It's take two. Yeah.
Then yes, it is that same one.
Okay. It's different rules in the movie. It's a good movie. It's cute, but it's like he keeps fucking up with Rachel McAdams and then like doing a take two, and it's like if you think about that,
that's not fair. That's weird.
Yeah. You're like, no, you're tricking this woman because you spilled wine on her or whatever. Mm-hmm. Anyway, on a note about this movie. Love pointing out these performances. Love when we get an opportunity to. Mrs. Irwin, the neighbor, so good. She rules so hard.
She showed up to work today.
She pinch hits a grand slam. One scene wonder, Mrs. Irwin. I was like, oh, surely this woman comes back. Nope. Just a great day player. Love Mrs. Irwin.
Wonderful. Also, she got Kathleen Turner's got like a sad person fridge. There's a single egg on a wire shelf. And then
single egg, yes.
Is it a bunch of medication?
It looks like a bunch of medication. It doesn't explain.
Which again was like, I was like, oh, is it?
You thinking this movie is about a woman with Alzheimer's for like 20 minutes is killing me. It's such a good thing.
I mean, look, going in blind. The evidence presented.
It's totally logical. It's just insanely incorrect.
I also can't see Kathleen Turner on a phone without thinking of Serial Mom.
Yeah,
which is a delightful, weird movie.
Yeah, I do say we don't often comment on this, but like you got two babes in this movie. I know you were saying Michael Douglas not your speed, but this is like pretty
objectively I get it. It's just not for me.
But like a couple of babes in this movie. Kathleen Turner, height of her power. Michael Douglas, height of her power. 10-year age gap between them, which is like by Hollywood standards, pretty low.
Pretty standard. Yeah.
Yeah, you got a 40 and a 30 here. Pretty good.
So I looked it up. Kurt Russell and Goldie are the opposite. She's older than him.
She's older than him. Yeah. Yes, I do. Yeah.
And by I think like a 5 to 10 year gap.
Yeah. She is.
Because I was like, oh, how old would they? They were definitely like a younger skewing view when I was dreamcasting in my head for those two.
Yeah. They would be. I mean, this movie would totally have worked with the two of them for sure.
Agreed.
So we got a guy kind of
a mysterious man in black.
Yes, and he's trying to break into her apartment, and the janitor intervenes, and he kills this janitor.
Is it I thought it was like a superintendent, Because I don't think
correct.
apartment buildings
You're
have.
correct. Yeah, you're correct. You're correct.
Apartment buildings don't really-
Apartments could have a janitor that like sweeps hallways, but you're correct. It's probably a superintendent.
Yeah. So so my brain at this point switched
Somebody
gears.
is cleaning the hallways of an apartment building like this, I would think.
That's true, but I imagine it was just like an outsourced service rather than like a dedicated, or maybe like a handyman. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. You're correct. He's probably the superintendent.
So at this point, my brain shifted gears from dementia to the characters in her story coming alive.
Oh, okay.
So it was a very colorful movie for me.
This new podcast within a podcast called Andrew Watches the Movie with No Idea What's Going On is really delightful.
Yeah.
We go to the bar. We're with Holland Taylor and
A young Holland Taylor, which was so strange to my brain.
it is very weird. And Holland Taylor's doing a great rundown of just like crushing every man at the bar, like old, fat, ugly, mustache, bald, whatever.
I think a Baldwin is hiding in there.
Is there a Baldwin?
It looks like when she says he smiles too weird. The guy with the weird smile kind of looks like a Baldwin.
Interesting. I didn't clock him hard enough to catch that. What I did though clock was Holland Taylor's drinking like, I don't know, like a whiskey or something like that. And
I went, is Kathleen Turner drinking a grasshopper? And then immediately Holland Taylor goes, have another grasshopper.
I thought she was drinking. I thought they accidentally like brought something over from the Return of the Jedi props. I was like, what is this Star Wars ass drink? It's blue fizz she's drinking.
It was green.
It's blue green.
It's like a very light minty green.
Yeah.
Also, a middle of the day grasshopper? Who are you?
Yeah. This is like the I don't drink.
Is this 1920s?
This has to be the only thing I drink is grasshoppers.
But also,
I drink 4 a year.
She drinks nips. A lot of nips.
That's true.
They look like Grand Marnier nips.
They do look like Grand Marnier.
Which is a very strange nip of choice.
Yeah, yeah. There was a bar I used to go to with friends in Baltimore where they like served beer only, but the every like other round you bought, you got a free shot of Grand Marnier. The guy who owned the bar just loved Grand Marnier.
That's
and so
so
the bartenders
weird.
The bartenders could like freely. It was also weird when you ordered beer, you got 2 10-ounce beers, these like small mugs.
Okay.
And so, but you couldn't mix and match the flavors. Like if you wanted like the double IPA and a stout, they were like, okay, well that's 4 total glasses. So like
Insanity.
you'd have to like you and a friend could be like, I'll get this, you get that, or whatever. But you'd get these Grand Marniers, and then my friend of course would schmooze with the bartenders, and they were like freely giving out the Grand Marnier. And the one night,
is it the schmoozing friend I think you're talking about?
Yeah. It's fine. Zay, former guest of the podcast. Zay.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot.
Right.
You're right.
Former guest of the podcast. He won't. And it's not a bad story. I'll just say his name. The Streets of Fire episode in the archives, I think, at this point. But he was schmoozing with his bartenders, and then they started just like firing Grand Marnier at us, and like after a while,
Is Grand Marnier like a?
it's orange.
I know, but it's like a normal alcohol percent or like a.
Yeah, it's like brandy, but it's like a
like a 40% probably.
Strength. Yeah. And so Chris, also on that episode, and it was the 3 of us at this bar, and he just like keeps getting this to happen. And eventually we were like, I really don't want to drink any more Grand Marnier. This is like such a potently flavored alcohol. Like
it is.
Like it's like I don't dislike Grand Marnier, but I don't want 8 glasses of it in a night. Like I just don't want to drink a much more orange liqueur, please.
No,
liquor, I guess.
Throw some tequila or vodka and like give me something.
They do not have anything else. They have Grand Marnier, which they are free to distribute because they don't sell it, so they don't have like a
They don't have to have a license for that.
That could be it. Honestly, I never considered that, but also they like don't have the thing of like, there's not John Taffer being like, you're giving away the bar, because they can just like there's
it's like how bridal shops can technically serve champagne. They're not selling it, so
right.
We also didn't mention that the neighbor gave Kathleen Turner a package.
Yes, for the vital part of the movie that we just blew
with like
past.
100 stamps on it.
Yes, and a treasure map inside.
Well, we don't know that yet.
That is true.
Because this movie's pretty decent, other than the fact that I thought it might have been about dementia for a while. It's pretty good at sprinkling little tidbits in, because like she gets this covered in stamps thing from someone named Raul, I think. And she clearly doesn't think it's weird, so she's kind of like tucks it away. And then Holland Taylor is like, "Oh, how's your sister doing since her husband? Like, I can't imagine, my husband being murdered like that." And it's sort of like these little breadcrumbs of like,
yes,
hey,
it's a good screenplay.
Keep paying attention, please.
Diane Thomas, who wrote it like 5 years before, first screenplay credit, and then never had another credit. She died young, but she wrote a draft of Indiana Jones 3 that basically took place in a haunted house.
Oh.
Which sounds cool as hell, and Spielberg wanted to go a different way. I love Last Crusade, so it's hard to be like, I want that, but I certainly would rather have Indy in the haunted house than
it would be like Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, exactly.
They should have been his dumbass museum friend stuck in a mansion. He's the
oh my god, Marcus
it's
Brody.
the true Luigi's Mansion of the Indiana Jones franchise.
That's a genius suggestion. And don't make it a mansion. Make him stuck in the big room with the ark and stuff.
So now we're sort of shifting into that Conjuring movie where the house, all the shit in the house came to life.
Also, I think it's 5 seasons on Sci-Fi called Warehouse 13, which is like the people who caretake that place in Indiana Jones. But I went the Conjuring version with Marcus Brody trapped in there, full on Luigi's Mansion style. This is what I want. Indy and Sean Connery have been trapped in paintings, and he has to get them out. Yeah.
I love this. That's perfect.
I want to watch this movie. Somebody make this an animated feature.
I don't know who the market is for that animated feature.
Well, everyone in it is dead. So we got to figure out how to get around.
I think at that point, they're just going to make a Luigi's Mansion movie. I think at that point, that's just what they do.
I mean, based on the amount of money that Super Mario Brothers just made, I think they're going to make that probably. But
I don't know if Luigi's Mansion is on their radar yet, but they announced that it's like a King Kong, a Donkey Kong, at least one Zelda.
There was like
a
little bit of like a wink Luigi's Mansion in there, so it's not.
I haven't seen it. I'm very excited to see it, but I haven't yet.
It's fine,
I've heard it's very cute. It's like if you're a fan of Mario, it's very cute.
I wish I had known you were interested because I had gotten a promotion through Comcast that I ended up not using because I got the Regal thing, so I would have given it to you. It was like BOGO tickets. Anyway, so we get Mary Ellen Taylor from Die Hard. She's the newscaster,
and the Goonies.
And the Goonies, that's right.
But she was not Die Hard. Lethal Weapon. Is she also in Die Hard?
Mary Ellen Taylor is 100% the newscaster in Die Hard. I checked this and wrote it down. So.
I was thinking of she was the therapist in Lethal Weapon when we went on our Seinfeld tangent.
Yes, you're right.
Well, we're the best.
That was the Christmas episode of the Patreon where we try to pick movies that we think we'll like, and I assumed that I would like
swing and a miss,
and it was a big ol' whiskey.
So if you like when we riff and pitch other things like the cast of Seinfeld as LAPD psychiatrists, you'll like it. If you enjoy Lethal Weapon, you might not enjoy our episode.
Yeah, probably not for you. She gets a really great car, and then
for someone who's like wanted by a lot of people, it's like the most conspicuous car you can drive.
Yeah. Well, I was under the impression that she and the husband were like spies, but that doesn't seem to be what the vibe is.
No, I don't think so. If it is, the movie did a bad job explaining that.
Right. But when I was like, okay, your sister's been kidnapped. Like, doesn't it seem like you're setting up like, oh, your sister's actually this spy, and there's like a secret identity and stuff like that?
Well, I wanted to know more about her. Like, who the hell is her husband?
Right. Why was
he an archaeologist who just happened upon this map, or
right?
What's the tea here?
It makes no sense. But I love this movie has what more movies need to have, which is like child assassins.
I love it. I think they're called bolas.
Mm-hmm. A bola snare, yeah.
Yeah, I only know
Don't
because...
you remember the Jurassic Park SNES game, the bola snare rifle?
No, I didn't know. I remember the game, didn't remember that that's what those were.
Yeah.
I know them because Catwoman uses them in one of the Arkham games, but now I'm fully remembering that is the...
There's a rifle that shoots these, yeah.
Although
in that game, it makes dinosaurs explode.
Yeah, that's maybe why my brain doesn't remember them as bolas, because that's not how that works.
You're right.
And again, a Jurassic Park game where the goal is to shoot all the fucking dinosaurs.
Every Jurassic Park game, every single
No,
one.
there's one that's about making a park. It's like Roller Coaster Tycoon, but
I've played a lot of that game, and in that game, the dinosaurs keep like a mechanic of the game that you cannot avoid is that the dinosaurs break out and eat people.
so but you're not killing dinosaurs, are you?
You have to trank them and then get them put back in their pens. And
Doesn't sound like killing.
But yeah, that's fair. That is the only Jurassic Park game in which it's not kill the fuckers, shoot them all, let God sort it out. That one in the arcade.
Spare no expense.
Yeah, exactly. Spare no expense on these bullets.
Yeah, it's gonna be like in History of the World Part 2 when they had the Jesus trailer. Like a ripped dude is with a hat on is playing not John Hamm. Jesus Christ, John Hammond.
John the Baptist. Oh, John Hammond. Yes. Okay.
I want like a ripped dude with like a shitty community theater white beard and a hat, and like I don't know a minigun. Is that what they're called? Or a Gatling gun?
The Schwarzenegger has in Terminator.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I want. And spare no expense.
I want him like pulling the handle of the cane off, and it's just a huge sword.
Yes, exactly. And they cut. It's like Megan Fox is Dr. Sattler.
And you have both Schwarzenegger and Stallone. One as Ian Malcolm, and the other as I keep wanting to say Murray.
Oh, I was thinking they would be Newman and Samuel L. Jackson since they're a little older.
Yeah, that makes more sense. What the hell's the guy, the Raptor guy? The game, it's an
Muldoon.
Muldoon. I was like, I couldn't get Murdoch out of my head. Speaking of, I recently watched a clip with Schwarzenegger talking about how he and like Stallone kept one-upping each other, and a really great story about Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, which I will get to when we eventually do that episode. But he was like, it got to the point where I was shooting a gun that's from a helicopter. It's just like, it's ridiculous. Like he's talking about like, you know, he's pantomiming shooting that gun from Terminator, but he was just like, it's like, I have the bigger gun. No, I have the bigger gun. No, I have the bigger gun. And I had to get a gun from a helicopter. It was just so good.
Oh God.
We were talking about child assassins. We go from that to Danny DeVito at a gator pit, and we keep getting shots of gators.
Like when I first saw Danny DeVito, I thought he was like a private eye.
He has a private eye energy, honestly.
Because he's like, hey, they're taking the girl on the boat. And I was like, oh, so he's... And then all of a sudden, he's part of it. He's part of the kidnappers. And I was like, whoa, hang on. I feel like you did not introduce us properly.
So the guy who plays his cousin, I think the cousin is Ira, the character, the bald guy.
Who I think is gay.
The character?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. That character is very weird to me because later on there's a scene with him and Mary Ellen Taylor where it seems like Mary Ellen Taylor has kind of fallen for him. And I was like, oh, is that what's happening? And then that's not it at all, like even a little bit.
Yeah, for a second I thought maybe it was like she's in on it.
Yeah.
Or something.
So that actor was a big art guy, and he bought a bunch of Basquiat paintings in the 80s.
Oh, no shit.
One of which that he bought for $19,000 in 1982 sold for $110 million.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, art sales is basically money laundering, as I have learned.
Yeah, well.
Allegedly. I have no idea about this particular one. But could you... the $110 million in one transaction for selling a painting you bought for $20,000 when you were a working actor in the 80s is just incomprehensible.
Insanity.
So we get this gator pit, and we keep getting these gators in this movie, and I was like, man, if this movie does not pay off with some real gator, these are Chekhov.
It could have paid off better, but it does pay off.
But it was pretty satisfying. I will say, we'll get to it at the end. There was an opportunity for some real mayhem.
Yep, I 100%. I know what you're going to say because I have the same notes, so we'll get there when we get there.
Because we get like a really good first beat.
We get the end of Jurassic World. We're like, this doesn't really make sense, but I'll go with it.
Yeah. So Kathleen Turner's house is all ransacked when she's at home. We find out about the sister being kidnapped, and now she's like, okay, I got to rush to save the sister. Holland Taylor's trying to talk her out of it, and she's like, no, I have to go.
Drops the little nugget that your books do very well in Colombia.
Yes,
and just
which
kind
I
of
missed.
Puts that drop in the bucket and goes, we'll get there.
And I missed that, and so I had your reaction, and I was so delighted by that thing. And then I later, when I was like reading stuff for doing some research, I was like, "Oh, I totally missed that." But the payoff was even better, not knowing it was coming.
Yeah.
So the assassin's following him. We get to South America.
How did people buy plane tickets in the
over the phone? I think
was it just a phone call? And then just like, I want to fly from Philadelphia to Orlando on this day. Yes. And they're like, these are the flight options?
Yeah, I really do think so, yes.
Or I guess in person. Insane. Or you could just, I guess you had to go in person, sure. Which like, wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, back then it wouldn't have been odd for you to walk into the airport and be like, I need to fly to Bogota today. And they'd be like, okay, here's the options. Like that would not have put you on a list.
No, I wasn't even thinking of that, but it's just like, what you get there and just like hope that there's a flight within a reasonable amount of time.
I mean, on this,
like, what if you get there at noon and they're like, "Yeah, we're flying out at 11 p.m." and you're just stuck in the airport?
I think that would only occur in like the emergency situation. I assume it was a phone call normally. If you're trying to fly same day, you got to do what you can do. You know?
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous scenery. It's so nice to see movies that actually go places and film.
I know. But the mysterious man in black from before puts Kathleen Turner on the wrong bus on purpose.
So, what was the deal at the sign flip? Was this bus changing routes?
Yeah. So it was originally going to Cartagena, and then it flipped to wherever.
Yeah,
it was
I
going
saw
instead.
the flip, but I was like, does that mean this guy is like this whole bus is part of the gag? And then clearly it wasn't.
No. Yeah, I think it was just he was trying to isolate her, so that he could get whatever he would get the map.
Yeah.
There's also there's a pig on the bus.
There's a pig. There's chickens. This. There's a bunch of people very annoyed by this woman who doesn't speak English, only speaks English.
Who stepped on the pig.
Stepped on the pig. And then she's like pestering the bus driver with questions and causes an accident.
I mean,
crash.
There's a lot of factors into that she is part of, but the bus driver fully took his eyes completely off the road, which is on him.
Yeah. Right.
And why in the flying fuck is Michael Douglas's truck, Jeep, just in the road? He left it there.
It's like pulled over, but it's still on the road.
On a dangerous mountain curve, there's no over. There's no shoulder.
Right. So there's a big crash. It looks very cool. It's not like an explosion crash or anything, but it looks great. And then we get an incredibly
it feels again, so many moments in this feel like a theme park ride. Where like
absolutely yes,
like the baskets go flying. You could feel them like reset themselves afterwards and pull the chicken back in or whatever to the baskets.
Yes. Someone is going to eventually do this and it's going to rule. But the idea of like, oh, the ride is crashed and you have to like get off and then there's like a walkthrough thing. I think would be really cool.
I mean, Rise of the Resistance is pretty close.
Yeah, it does it kind of, but it doesn't. I'm thinking more like the bit on the Mummy in Universal, which has the fake out, where
like you get to the end.
Yeah, you're like, oh, it's over, and you think you're gonna get off, which is still like a delightful thing. But I think there could be a cool thing where you're like, like the first time you ride it, you genuinely think the ride is broken, like not like the kayfabe a little stronger. The thing you're talking about in Rise of Resistance is very cool, and I like that a lot. But I'm thinking slightly differently.
You need good space Nazis, though.
Yeah, but if you you could do it such in a way that people like genuinely think the ride is broken, and then they're like, "Oh, okay, you have to get walked off," and then when you're getting walked off, it turns into like a Halloween Horror Nights maze.
That could be fun. That could be very fun.
Yeah, for the right audience.
Yeah,
call us Universal. This feels like a great Halloween Horror Nights ride that you could probably pull off.
I mean, I think it's just called their tram tour. I think their Halloween tram tour is just they take you to the plane crash site and then you walk through the plane crash. So I think they do it similarly. Okay.
But the ride doesn't break. There needs to be a break. You're missing the break part.
I agree, but I was just saying that the similar aspect.
Look, I'm not here trying to talk them out of paying you for your ideas. So I don't know why you're here talking them out of paying us for my ideas.
Kathleen Turner,
incredible backlit intro of Michael Douglas that looks just like one of the covers of her books that she looked at before she was leaving her house.
Yeah. So Kathleen Turner has seen the mysterious man on the bus that she knows, she has a feeling isn't going to Cartagena.
Yes.
And then when he gets off the bus, everyone gets off the bus and walks in a group. And he's like, oh, you should stay here because another bus is definitely coming. And I'm like, how are you, a human woman in 1984, not getting alarm bells?
New York City.
Who lives in New York City and writes books, doesn't have alarm bells going off that like, no, there's no second bus.
Incomprehensible. So we get a classic ricochet shootout between Michael Douglas and
I wrote,
this guy.
an Indiana Jones type. And then when I saw him, I was like, no, it's a Kurt Russell type.
Yes.
Very different.
But it's kind of right between the two.
I think he really wants to be a Kurt Russell type. That's the vibe I got.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, how could you not? He's cool as hell.
Yeah.
But you get their classic, like, "Bricking, bricking, bricking."
Again, a theme park ride.
Yes, absolutely.
Where they just fire a spark and you hear
the ricocheting bullets. And then the guy runs away. Douglas, they have their shootout, and Douglas
he's like, oh man, my truck is trashed. And again, I'm going to be like, why is no one asking you where you were why you abandoned your truck full of birds?
Right. So he's like a bird salesman, apparently.
A door-to-door birdman, I guess.
He's a bird hunter / salesman.
Ding dong, the Avon lady. Oh no, it's a birdman.
Yeah. So he takes her on.
There also apparently were different kinds of traveler's checks, which just like feels.
So I thought
wild.
Does she name the brand?
Yeah, because she says, how about traveler's checks? And he goes, American Express? And she goes, of course. And he's like, you got it. Which I'm like, that must have hit hard in 1984. This clearly was like,
I think
hitting different in 1984.
I mean, I think what you heard there was just a little bit of advertising.
Yes, but like clearly the cadence was a joke.
Oh, I think it was probably a commercial line, is my guess.
But like, I was like, oh, there's different. Why were there different traveler's checks?
Well, different brands.
But it's all the same money, right? Like, it's not like American Express gives you $5 for one or whatever.
No, but I think it was like, how some places don't take Amex?
Oh.
So I think they were kind of akin to traveler checks. I think were kind of akin to international credit card use, where it's like some people don't take Amex and you have to have a different credit card.
Yeah.
That is my guess. Again, I was not alive.
The man who says who was following this, the mysterious man who was shooting at Kathleen Turner, commandeers Danny DeVito's car and says he's a lawman. And I was like, I thought he might have been something different. But then I was like, he's clearly not a lawman.
Right.
Because he murdered a dude in New York.
Right. So she basically gives the rundown to Michael Douglas of like why I'm here, what's going on with my sister.
But vague enough that,
Yeah. So he's like, all right, I'll take you on.
They're walking in the pouring rain.
Yep. And a great moment here where he's like, what's in your suitcase? And she explains what's in there. And he's like, how about sensible walking shoes? And she's like, no, they're all heels.
But it's also like, weirdly enough, I didn't plan on my bus hitting your truck and having to walk through the goddamn fucking desert. I thought I was going to a city to see my sister.
Okay, fine. But you didn't pack one pair of flats? Not one?
Why would you need to? It's the 80s. Women wear kitten heels.
I think it's irresponsible packing for a vacation to not have a flat shoe.
It's not a vacation.
Well, it's even worse. She's like on a high stakes adventure. Why is she only wearing high heels?
Okay, from her perspective, it's not an adventure. It's go to this hotel, call the number, give us the map, and we'll give you your sister. It's a bing bang boom transaction.
I don't think you should be going into a hostage situation in footwear you can't run in. I feel strongly about this. I feel that is poor preparation. This woman is an author who writes about women and cowboys and all these misadventures. She should have a little more knowledge. I'm sorry, it's bad planning.
Again, it's the 80s. Women had to wear kitten heels.
But I love this bit where he like hucks the thing.
I was so mad at him. I was like, you don't know what's in there.
It was hilarious. I thought it was really funny. It caught me completely by surprise.
I was like, don't pull a Kurt Russell move when you're not Kurt Russell and you haven't earned that.
It's definitely a Kurt Russell move.
Yeah, and if he did it, I would find it charming, I'm sure.
Yeah. Also, I will say, having now watched this movie where they do the whole thing with the heels and then he like chops the heels off in a little bit.
Oh, that made me so mad.
I mean, it's also like very clear. Like, it's very funny to me that this is written by a woman because of like that. I even know that like heels have a shape; they wouldn't be flat.
He was like, "No, they're practical," and I was like, "No, they're not, dumbass. Now there's no support."
Now she has to walk like a complete insane person. Like she has to like duck walk like on her heels.
Yeah, except when they do a close-up shot, magically she's wearing flats, and I was like, "That's not how shoes work."
Right. Well, maybe the jungle walking just like smooshed them flat after a few steps, but it makes it even more ridiculous. Like I know I'm not going to relitigate this whole thing, but like what Jurassic World was 2018?
No, it was like 2016.
16. It's like
I know who I watched that with, and that gives me a clear timeline. It was
okay.
2016.
This movie is 40 years old at that point, and they've already done the whole heel thing. It's like you could have like the better version of that is like kind of knowing reference to this movie where Claire is like, I work at a fucking dinosaur park. I put my hiking boots on when I had to go do this.
Or, I mean, I was thought like she probably has shoes in her desk, but she was not anticipating this being the thing.
Right. Well, I mean, her job is like she has to go off road and stuff. She should have
not very often. She's mostly
She's taking people on tours to paddocks.
Yeah, but I feel like it's the clean pat. Like they're not.
She's walking on cinders. We see her do it. It's crazy.
I think you're also underestimating what pressure is on women to wear in executive positions.
Right, but like we watched 9 to 5 where the women like wore sensible walking shoes and then changed at work. This is like an established.
She's at work.
Things. Yes, and as part of her job needing to like switch to commando mode, she should be putting on boots. We don't have to have this fight again. I thought you agreed with me. I'm so shocked to having this fight with you.
It's more that like
the woman outruns a fucking T-Rex.
That's dumb.
Heels.
That's dumb. But it's more the like, I'm not shocked that a woman is like, yeah, I have to wear fucking heels at this job because if I don't, I'm gonna be labeled as unprofessional to Sprint.
All I'm saying is they do basically the exact
Sprint
same
will call Bob Iger and have my fucking head because I wore flats. I wore a tennis shoe.
I'm not saying she should wear the tennis shoe in the meeting. I'm saying when she takes people to the paddock, she's like, oh, you have to have closed-toed shoes, so I'm putting my boots on.
They're closed-toed. Never mind. It's not important.
I'm just saying it's even more egregious to have that scene 40 years after this scene, which like already does the better version of the bit. Because doesn't she just throw her shoes away and walk barefoot in Jurassic World? Am I not remembering that correctly?
She does, yeah. She ties up her shirt and then kicks off her shoes, I think.
Yeah.
No,
anyway.
No, because she has her shoes at the end, so she clearly didn't kick off her shoes in the jungle.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Anyway. She goes running after her suitcase and it turns into a mudslide, which
I don't even think she runs. I think it's like a natural erosion situation.
Oh yeah, it does seem to drop out from Michael Douglas too. It honestly reminded me of those. I've never been on one, but those kind of water slides where like the floor drops out on you.
They look fun. They look terrifying, but fun.
Yeah. But I the whole time watching this again, theme parky, I was like, boy, this looks like fun.
The body cam footage. I don't know if it's the phrase for it, but like. It's like a close-up of the person falling. And the camera is strapped to them. Yeah,
it's awesome. It's like pre-GoPro.
Yeah. And then
I don't know if I said this on the podcast, but a thing I've noticed in movies is you can tell when explosions are real now because suddenly it's GoPro footage.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
So it's a fun thing to notice, like if the camera changes suddenly to like GoPro-y and you can tell like the resolution's not quite the same, I'm always like, ooh, something's about to blow up.
Huh. I'll have to look out for that. And they land at the bottom and they're soaking wet and he lands with his face in her crotch. And I was just like, come on.
Yeah. I mean, it's 84. What do you want?
I know, but like...
It's not played. It's played more as like whoa, as opposed to like hey.
Not. I mean, it's just the concept is itself is lecherous.
Yeah, of course. It's written by a woman.
I know. Well, she probably didn't write that. I'm sure she didn't write. And then he muff dives right into her from the mudslide.
Why did you turn her into Angela fucking Lansbury?
I don't know.
It's not a Grammy.
I'm an old woman telling a story to my granddaughter in her bed.
She's not Edward Scissorhands over here. It's like a woman in her 40s or 30s.
Before he came down, it never snowed.
He killed the snakes with the same knife he'd shot my heels off.
Yeah.
We get Danny DeVito on the phone with his cousin, and he's trying to rip down. He's like explaining the situation. The bad
Pretending
guy's
he's on the phone with his mom.
Yeah, the bad guy's rustling up basically an army to track these two, excuse me. And he sees his wanted poster on the wall, which we never really get any details of.
No follow-up.
And he does when he finally snatches it, he does an awesome pratfall, just like right over the counter.
Good.
Delightful bit of business.
So this is where we kind of learn that like the mysterious man in black, his name is Zolo, and he's an unofficial official leader.
Yes.
Like he's like I don't know if he's high in like a gang or something, but he clearly unofficially runs the country.
Yeah.
Or wherever.
Yeah.
Maybe not country, that's a lot.
Yeah. So there's a jungle chase. There's a little bit of some shootout with them.
She's smart and goes across the bridge that he says is broken because she's like, the options are this or death. So
yeah. So it's a really great, like the one board falls away and she's doing like sort of an Indiana Jones, like shuffle across the bridge, and then ends up having to grab a vine on the other side to kind of finish this crossing. And then the vine swings back to Michael Douglas and he does a Tarzan swing across, which looks really cool. She starts doing, you said she's drinking the little airplane bottles. I was like, oh, are they going to set the bridge on fire? Like, I thought they were going to make the bridge collapse. And I was going to be like, she's got a little alcohol and she's going to do that. And it's like, no, she's just stealing her nerves, which I thought was pretty great.
If Grand Marnier is strong enough to light a bridge ablaze, I would be shocked.
I mean, couldn't like bourbon or vodka, can't you set that on fire?
I thought it had to be like 151 or something. I thought like that was the only flammable, or like grain alcohol.
Okay. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe they're not strong enough proof. I thought you could, but I don't do a lot of lighting alcohol on fire, as you might imagine.
Yeah, right. So on IMDb, as I was like kind of scrolling, not getting the spoiler parts, and it was like Michael Douglas wanted to produce this film so he could show off his rock climbing skills, and I was like, what? And then he like does 5 seconds of rock climbing here, and I was like, I was like, where in this movie they're gonna do rock climbing again?
Right.
They do it. I was so mad they included it later. I was like, this movie is an hour 45, and you're doing nothing here. We'll get to it.
It is fully a special skills section bit from like a cheap horror movie.
Yeah, I was like, come on.
So they find a plane to kind of like catch. It's like the catch your breath moment of the movie. Like the two characters is the relationship's going to change, catch our breath a little bit, and they get on this plane and they start looking around, and Michael Douglas is like, oh, this is all weed, and so they end up making a campfire.
They hotbox themselves in a plane, and I was like, this is dumb. This is a dumb idea, y'all.
Yeah, and it doesn't even pay off in that they get like giggly and silly. Like
she's
Kathleen
a little
Turner
bit
passes out. Yeah. At one point, she's like, "Don't put any more on. I'm already dizzy." But this is a lot of weed. This is like being in a bong.
Yeah, it also like, so now there's a smoking plane in the middle of the woods that smells like weed in a country where weed is very illegal. Like,
no, I think weed is like abundant here because of the cartel guy.
No, he says it'll get you centuries in. He said it's 5 to life in America and centuries in Cartagena or wherever or Colombia. Because I think you have to be in the cartel. Like, if you're not the cartel, then you can't sell it.
Right. We were talking earlier about like her character having like a couple of good moments, but not like I wanted a little more of. I really like here they're passing this bottle of liquor back and forth, and she is wiping the bottle off every time before she takes a sip. Yeah. And then as she gets drunker, she stops doing that, which I thought was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. It's a nice little moment. So they kind of open up to each other, and then she explains the full situation, and he's like, well, if this map is so important, we should go to where the map goes to get whatever treasure is there and have more leverage. And I was like, yeah, but also, come on, you shifty con man.
Yeah.
She calls him a Mondo Dismo, which I've never heard before.
Yeah, I had to do a 10 seconds back on that bad boy and go like, huh? What now?
He kills a giant snake.
Yep. And this is the part where he is like just straight up. He's got exactly Snake Plissken's beard, exactly Snake Plissken's hair, and he's wearing his t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And might even be wearing his pants.
And then he's like, "My big dream is a boat," and I was like, "Yeah, there's more to be said
sail
here
around the world."
Like, and that's it. And I was like, "Oh, that's all the depth we're gonna get from old fake Pliskin here."
Well, there's not much to him, right? It's like, I live in the jungle, I hunt birds, and I want to get on a boat. That's me.
But also, like, how did you end? Like, you clearly didn't live in Colombia your whole life because you speak English and no one else speaks English like you do.
Right, and the cops are after you, which you mentioned on multiple occasions.
So how did you get here, and why are you still here?
Absolutely. He's like cooking the snake, by the way, while they're having this conversation, and like, eating little pieces of it.
It's like the weird thing. Sorry, quick tangent. For it, I just thought about it in Mamma Mia. The Amanda Seyfried character has grown up on this Greek island her entire life and has no Greek friends.
We talk about Mamma Mia on this podcast a lot for a podcast that is about movies made no later than 1992. I just want to point this out.
Do we really?
It's like the fourth Mamma Mia reference in as many months.
I'm not remembering, but yeah, no Greek friends, but grew up on this island. And also, when you really think about the movie, none of the characters who speak lines are Greek. They're just there for window dressing.
Right. Well, I mean, the movie should obviously be set in Sweden, so.
Well, I mean, a ski resort, that could have been fun.
Yeah, there you go. It just fixed all the problems. She conks out. He's like studying the map. I love later there's like multiple instances where he's like, does anyone have a Xerox machine? I gotta photocopy this map.
He keeps saying that. I'm like, buddy, I would never pull that map out at all unless I was alone in a room with a locked door and no windows.
Well, you don't think this drug dealer's gonna put a bullet in the back of your head? Come on, he doesn't care about you.
Who? Wait, what?
He asked the drug dealer for a Xerox machine.
Oh yeah, him
and then
too.
He asked the hotel.
Although he's a nice drug dealer, so he wouldn't do that.
Yeah. So we're trekking through town, and these men start following them, and Michael Douglas is like ready to.
And then they're very nice to them.
Yeah. She's like, oh, we're looking to rent a car. They're like, oh, the only car in town's with this guy. You got to go down this street. And I'm like, you never go down the alley when this creepy man tells you for this. Like, come on.
Don't go to a second location.
Right. So we get there, and the guy is just kind of brushing them off, and then he pulls a gun on them, and we see all of the men.
The townsfolk behind him.
They're all there with their guns drawn, and Michael Douglas is like, all right, I don't remember the character's name. All right, Kathleen Turner, how are you going to write it?
Joan Wilder.
Okay. And the drug dealer's like, you're Joan Wilder? Joan Wilder?
No, here's how this should have gone down. He should have been like, no, and they do that, and then she should have turned to the hole, and he's poking through the like Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz, yeah.
No one sees the wizard. Nobody don't know how.
Yeah.
She should have turned around and been like, please, we just need a car, and he should have recognized her face. Because her picture's on the back of every fucking book.
But on the back of the book, her hair's like up in a bun. She's got like glasses on. It's like sort of she's
it's up in a pony right now.
No, it's like loose, isn't it?
I think at this point it's pony. She goes in between.
Okay, I thought her hair was down, but I love that. Like, not only is it, I love these books. He's like, these are the books I read to you guys every Saturday or Sunday, whatever day it is. And he said,
yeah, it's their version of radio.
Yeah, all the other dudes are like, we love your books. It's so good. Like I missed the setup that you had heard, and so it was just like very satisfying.
Because I kept waiting. I was like, someone's gonna be a fan of hers.
Yeah. I'm glad I had missed that because I thought it was so satisfying, and just like there was nothing about it. Like there was no like I was like, oh, is this guy going to be like secretly gay? Or,
is it that
my wife
fucking Robert De Niro Stardust?
I understand why you dislike that. I think that is very well done in the context of the movie when everyone is like, yeah, we love you anyway. We don't.
That's fun, but it's just like it's very like.
I get it. I totally understand why you don't like it. I completely understand.
You're gonna put Michelle Pfeiffer in here and that bullshit? How dare you? You can't put both.
I love Stardust.
It's a very weird hill that I like to die on, but Stardust slaps.
Yeah, it's a great movie. Every time someone tells me how much they like The Princess Bride, I'm like, you have to watch this movie. It's the same energy and it's just the same kind of fun. You will like it.
Mm-hmm.
So the army shows up. We get some great POV shots of the car as they're driving away. His like he calls it his little mule, but it's like
It's a fucking monster truck rally escape.
Yeah. There's one point where he's like, "Oh, I can't run over my pigs," and he goes to turn around, and I don't know if you caught this, but they fully ran over a chicken.
Yeah, a chicken fully gets like sucked up into the wheel vortex underneath.
Yeah,
it appears to live after
the axle. But
it doesn't. It's not like, I think it's like just the wind of like.
Yeah.
It doesn't get sucked up into the axle itself,
Right.
but it like definitely kind of like rotates as it's like next to the wheel because it gets hit by the car.
Yeah, it clearly almost dies. Like very clearly almost dies.
I should have watched to the end to see if they got that bullshit.
No animals were harmed.
Yeah, because that animal got harmed.
Yeah, it absolutely did.
Again, theme park energy as they're being shot at and driving wildly. We can't go this way. My pig's in the road. Gotta turn around.
That actually felt very video gamey to me as well.
Oh yeah, the single pig in the middle of the road that blocks the entire road somehow because of the invisible wall they've put up.
Just drive around. What do you mean? You can't go. What do you mean I can't go? I can fit the car.
I can't
here.
jump. Why can't I jump?
Yeah. But there's a great spot where I think it's supposed to be there's like a gas tank on the back that gets shot that blows up, but the explosion is like on the vehicle, and the drug dealer guy's like, "Hey, my car's fireproof. Don't worry about it."
Okay, Juan. But also it's weird that Juan like doesn't know who Zolo is.
Yes.
Because he's like, "Wow, these men are after you are persistent," and it's like, yeah, don't you know who they are? Like,
right? And
is he not
like a rival?
Like, isn't he a big deal?
Yeah.
And then there's a secret remote ramp.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like a little garage door opener that he hits he's like, you can't cross this river for 200 miles except if you have this.
And they like Dukes of Hazzard over the river.
Yeah. And then he changes it from a ramp to like a straight up
blockade
barrier. Yeah, and the next car hits it and flips over into the river. Very good looking.
So they take a moment to take a breath, and
they get dropped off in town.
Michael Douglas freaks out about a tree, I was like, why are they forgetting about this tree? And then I was like, right, it's on the map.
Yeah. So Danny DeVito is on the phone with his cousin. Like,
this is where I thought he was gay, because Danny DeVito goes, "Oh, she's with a man," and you can't hear the other side of the conversation. He goes, "I don't know, she likes men. So do you, Madagon." And I was like, wait, what?
I totally missed this.
And it could be an insult. I don't fucking know, but I was like, weird.
Yeah.
That the mincy man obsessed with a weird animal is gay. The mincy villain obsessed with a weird animal.
Is there a lot of gay folks who have pet gators?
No, but in movies it's always like they're weird, like the weirdness, like they have a weird pet, or like the villain energy. I have a crow. Who has a crow?
Right. Like, did you see Jungle Cruise? What's his name has a monkey?
I don't remember a monkey in Jungle Cruise.
Giamatti has a monkey, or is he a bird? Giamatti has a weird pet. Yeah, Giamatti has a weird pet. No, in the movie The Jungle Cruise.
Yeah, I don't remember. Wait. I don't remember Paul Giamatti in The Jungle Cruise now. Maybe I don't remember this movie
Paul Giamatti's the best part of Jungle Cruise. He's like wearing all white linen suit. He's like a mustache twirler, and he was like, he apparently went to Disney and he was like, okay, this is my affect. Like, I want to smoke cigars. Da 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 da. And they're like, no, you can't smoke cigars in a Disney movie. He's like, fine, then I want a monkey. And they gave. I thought it was a monkey, but now I'm.
Are you sure it's Paul Giamatti?
100% it's Paul Giamatti.
He's not the main bad guy, is he?
He gets like dispatched early.
Maybe that's why I don't remember him.
He like is not in the second half of the movie when it all becomes like CGI mush and The Rock is like a secret.
Oh, you know what? Is he the one in town when Emily Blunt has to run away from him?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's clicking now.
It's a bird. It's a cockatiel or a cockatoo, or it's one of those white parrot looking birds.
Mm-hmm. The bird from Rosebud.
But Giamatti has like a cane and like a big hat. He's like exactly what you're describing.
Yeah. Except that was their 15th first gay character in a movie with the brother.
Yeah, it's not that one. It's just like, just have him say I'm gay. Like, just have him say those words. What the fuck are we doing here? Like, just delete.
Because they don't want to edit it. They don't want to re-edit it for the overseas markets.
if you just took out the words "I'm gay" at the end of the sentence he already says in the movie, it plays better here, and you can delete it. Like, who cares? You just cut to the rock earlier. It's like so easy to do this. I mean, it's stupid that they do it, although they do it less now. It's just the whole thing is so stupid.
Yeah, I was happy because they did it for the last of the big Avengers movies. They were like, we're not cutting this gay subplot, so either your countries aren't going to get the last of the Avengers movies or whatever. And then I was like, oh, cool. And then they just were like, no, we're not going to do that anymore. And I was like, you pushed for you have to keep pushing.
Yeah. So Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner end up sharing a room. She pays him, and then he's like, well, I'll get you a hotel room and I'll buy us new clothes. And it's like, all right, you con man. This is...
Yeah. He Xeroxes does he actually Xerox it?
No, he has the map. Like later when they're having sex, he like puts the map back in her bag because he was going to do it after she fell asleep, I think. They go to dinner, and there is an Angelica Houston in Addams Family-esque key light on Kathleen Turner. I don't know if you know this.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
There is a big old bounce rate. It's just like, nose to eyebrows, please.
Focus here. Mm-hmm. And then he gives her a necklace. It's a
corazon.
A $15 heart necklace from the lead up to Christmas ad in the Macy's catalog.
For the 16-year-old boys or girls to buy their partners.
Maybe it opens up, maybe it doesn't.
Yeah. No, the open up version is 25. We're not that big a spender here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So they start dancing.
And this bit with DeVito is like one of the funnier. This. Yeah, it's one of the funnier parts of the movie, I think. He gets like trying to steal her purse, and so he's crawling under a table, and this older woman sees him and like flips the table.
It's like probably an abuela.
Pills. Yeah.
Big abuela energy.
A young abuela, but an abuela for sure.
Yeah. Like grabs him,
like slapping him about.
She's
the head.
Punching him. A guy tries to intervene, like clearly like a security guard or a waiter, and she's like, "Get out of here!" Like shoves him out of the way and keeps beating.
Starts hitting him. Yeah. So
they kiss during the fireworks, and then we smash cut to weird nudity.
Yeah. Well, there's no nudity, just no clothes on.
Not actual nudity, but like it's just this weird two naked people lying on top of each other.
Yeah, I mean, they probably could have, had them lie side by side in bed, but if I was either of these people and the option to lay naked with this other person emerged, I'd probably take it.
Yeah.
They're both babes.
I agree. So he tricks her into thinking that it's her idea to go after the treasure.
Yeah.
And so they sneak out of the hotel the next morning when Zolo's men roll in and accidentally carjack Danny DeVito.
Yeah, and I love, he's like starting to hotwire it, and she's like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm hotwiring the car. And she's like, maybe try the key, which is just in the ignition. So there's a big chase. The army's hot on the tail. They
realize if they fold the map in a weird way, it's a waterfall with a heart around it.
Yeah. I love that kind of stuff in these movies, though. It's just like, you did what? Like, how did you find that? Supposed to figure that out? Yeah. I just love adventure movies, though, man. I'm such a sucker for this shit.
Did you watch the National Treasure show? I haven't watched it yet.
I haven't watched it yet because nobody's in it. I guess Harvey Keitel might be in it, but none of the original people are in it.
He's not a draw for the movie.
I agree. But like, there's no Cage, there's no Diane Kruger, yeah, and no Justin Bartha either. John Voight, I'm fine if you leave him on the sidelines.
I would have thought that they could got Bartley for this. No offense intended to my man.
I wonder if they just, that's what I'm saying, they must not have even tried, because there's just no way Justin Bartha's, although he does have that Hangover money.
That's true.
He was in all three of those movies.
Was he in the others? I've only seen the first one.
Yeah, he's in all three of them.
Does he get disappeared every time? Is it always him?
I have no recollection. Like, I've seen all three of those movies, and I could tell you absolutely nothing. Although, maybe the one of them they go overseas, I don't think I saw that one.
Isn't that the third one? Or is there a fourth one?
There are three. I'm saying I don't think I saw all three because I didn't see I know they go overseas, but I never saw that one. So they find the stone, and there's this like kind of bundle of something or other that they open, and inside is like a $20 ceramic cat that looks like it was made.
It's a bunny. It's a 60s bunny tchotchke.
And she's like, oh, in one of my books, the thing was inside, so break it open. And of course they do, and the gem is there. And did you notice that they like painted over it?
They animated it. They like put animation over it.
Yeah, it's very odd looking. It's like, why don't you just shine a bright light at it or something?
Like maybe they couldn't figure it out in a cave.
And Danny DeVito shows up, points a gun, takes the stone,
and says, "Let's get out of here before Batman comes home."
Yeah. Foreshadowing, baby. I pause for a moment because I meant to say this earlier. The thing that's wild watching this movie as a first time watcher, and you the same. So I'm curious if you feel the same way. So we talked about this in our Cocoon episode that the Zemeckis was supposed to direct that, and then she was shooting this movie. A few weeks into it, they watched the dailies of it, and they were like, "Well, this movie's a disaster," and they fired him. Or maybe they watched the first cut of this, and they're like, "It's a disaster." They fired him off Cocoon, which, lucky for the whole world, is how we end up with Back to the Future, because this movie is such a success.
Yeah.
But like, how do you watch this movie and not get that it's working? Like, even in a rough cut version of this movie, like the Kathleen Turner, Michael Douglas stuff works all the time. Like, they're leaping off the screen.
I mean, they talked about what some of the changes were in on IMDb, so allegedly, but like apparently like Kathleen Turner's character lived alone in the beginning. It was like kind of sad, and had like a male publicist or publisher or whatever, and like there were a lot of different dynamics.
So they
and,
reshot a bunch of stuff.
Okay. And then like
I'm
the stuff in the plane was very different, apparently. Like them getting to know each other was different originally. So I'm wondering if it just wasn't hitting.
Okay, that I could see. I thought that they were watching this cut of the movie and just
no, I don't think so.
And I was like, what is wrong with you people? Like, how do you have jobs in this industry and not understand this stuff?
Well, I ask that question a lot. How do y'all have that job?
Well, now, yes, but then is like, there were creative people involved back then. Now it's all MBAs. That's why there's a problem.
Ugh.
No disrespect to MBAs. I just don't think they should be in charge of all creative enterprises.
No. MFAs, maybe.
Fine. Yeah. So we get some more fun car stunts. Danny DeVito's like running away.
So the Jeepmen are coming in. And then the horsemen show up, and I couldn't tell if they were on the same team or not.
I still don't know. I just watched this movie just last night for the show, so I have absolutely no idea.
Danny DeVito is doing a lot of great physical work because he knows his strengths.
Yeah. Him and Michael Douglas have like a fun little fight. Douglas gets the stone back.
Yeah. They end up. She ends up crashing them into the river so they can slowly float down in the car.
Yes. And did you notice the car was like inflatable at first? I saw that do a really wild fold. If you watch it back, when the car first goes in the water, the nose of the car like comes up in such a way that it makes me think the whole thing was like inflatable or something.
Huh.
Because it bounces back. It doesn't stay bent.
Gotcha. Which again, theme park energy. Oh,
yes.
We're going to have to off-road this. Turn sideways. Now there's water splashing.
And I love that she's like steering in the river, and Michael Douglas is like, "What are you doing? Like, you're in a car floating down a river." But this waterfall jump is one of the wilder stunts I've seen.
It's insane.
It's truly very, very dangerous. They push a car over a waterfall, and then two stunt performers jump like off the car, like push off the car to get away from it.
Yeah, it's like they opened the doors and had the stunt people stand on the doors so that they could springboard off.
Yeah, it's crazy looking.
And now, just like in The Mummy, you're on the wrong side of the river.
Yeah. So they're separated here, and they're like yelling about where to go.
She's now convinced, because Danny DeVito planted the seed that like he's a con man and tricked you into thinking you wanted the stone, and now they're on separate sides of the river. She's like, "Oh, great, you are a con man."
He did specifically say that he wasn't there to romance the stone. I'm not here to romance the stone out of you, which I was like, oh, you said the title of the movie.
Apparently it's like a jeweler's term, romancing the stone, which like I was like, what does this mean?
Yeah, it is. It was very lost on
me. This is gobbledygook.
Yeah. So they go to the rendezvous point. She checks in with the kidnapper, and this is the part where like this sister, Mary Ellen Taylor, is
trainer.
She's making like yes, I screwed up Holland Taylor and Mary Ellen
Holland Tunnel.
Trainer. Yeah. She's making like goo goo eyes at Ira when he's
I
making
missed
this
that,
call.
but
and I was very confused by that. Also, I just have this written down here because I was taking notes during the movie. Reagan apparently watched this movie at Camp David.
Wait, what?
All of the movies the presidents watch are like public.
Oh, Ronald Reagan. Okay.
Yes, yeah, and Reagan watched it at Camp David.
I wish he went over a waterfall.
I just thought it was like a funny, that's how popular this movie was. That even the White House wanted to see it. So they drop off the map. They do the exchange with the sister. Oops, the army's all there. So now we're in like the big.
It's just like all of a sudden we're in like a creepy castle. Like I'm waiting for Dracula to come around the corner.
It's supposed to be a fort, but it absolutely looks like Dracula's castle.
Which I get. Forts do have that energy.
Yeah,
Forts have big castle energy.
Yeah, for sure.
So basically, Kathleen Turner does the thing. She gives them the map. She gets her sister back. He's like, "You're free to go.
Yeah,
this is fine." And then the military shows up, and I'm like, "She was so close."
Yeah. So we get this big like final act thing here. They don't know where the stone is. The guy, like the army says that she has the stone. So Ira is like, or the bad guy's like dangling her over the gator pit, and then finally
it's like a gate. There's like a moat filled with gators now on this island.
Right. We find out Michael Douglas has it, and then he's like, "Where is it?" He's like, "It's a very secure location." And the guy kicks him in the dick, and Michael Douglas is wearing this giant stone as a cup. Yes. And then falls out his pant leg directly onto his foot like a hacky sack.
And he kicks it, and this is what I was alluding to earlier, that it's very Jurassic World, that he like catches it over the water, and he's like, "Ha ha ha, thank you." And a gator pops out knowing that his hand is above the water.
Yes.
And bites his hand off like fucking Captain Hook.
Yeah, it's a full Captain Hook here.
It's great.
Captain Hook.
It's Deus Ex Machina.
Yes, it is.
And then what I'm mad about, his hand is off, so he's bleeding out probably.
Yeah.
He's crouched down next to the river of crocodiles, holding his stump, like and drops his knife. And Kathleen Turner's thought isn't, let me just give him a little kick into the crocodile water. She picks up his knife and runs away. And I was like, no, just give him a shove. You don't have to watch. Plug your ears.
Yeah, I was also very annoyed that she didn't just put her shoulder into this guy. Just throw a big old lariat there. Come on.
Sprinkle a few marshmallows, get them excited, and push them in.
Yeah. So we have a big shootout. Michael Douglas is a machine gun that he grabbed off the one guy. We're shooting, blah, 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 blah.
Did you notice the weird fake hand they had DeVito holding?
No.
When he I think it's a fake hand. So the cousin and all of his Goonies jump into the boat, and Danny DeVito is running slower than them, obviously. And he's injured because he was getting beaten up. And he's holding his, as if he broke your arm, but his hand is kind of angled down. Yeah. And it looks like they're having him hold a fake hand. It's weird.
That's really weird. I did not catch that.
Also, Michael Douglas knows that this one gator is the one that ate his hand somehow.
So, okay, this is actually set up by the movie. The guy talks about how this is his favorite gator because it has these beautiful stripes. And then slightly different, earlier when he's mooning over his gator pit. And so and when Michael Douglas is chasing the gator and he's got the tail, you can see the stripes very boldly. Obviously, it's not a real gator tail.
Gotcha.
And then, although
poor gator,
there is a part where this gator is trying to get away and clearly cannot. And I was like, there is no way this gator just doesn't have a rope around its hindquarters so that it's just
100%, 100%
stuck into place. Yeah. They were just poking it in the butthole, being come on, be annoyed.
Yeah, and then the gator's trying to escape and jump into the river and be free. And then Douglas grabs it by the tail, and they keep cutting to it's half over the edge, a weird just let me out.
It's like when Jaws gets on the boat.
It's very same energy. So Zolo chases after Kathleen Turner and her sister.
She fights him for an eternity. This goes on for so long.
Well, they got to pad the runtime to let Michael Douglas climb up the fucking wall.
Yeah, but you could have done that as all of this could have been done with just one less shot, 3 less shots of the fist fight between these two.
She throws the knife, which is what her character did in the beginning of the movie, the character she was writing. And it's a weird shot. The way everything about it is weird, that he the way he brings it looks so creepy and fake.
Yeah. He catches it he has a hunk of wood he was going to beat her with.
So Michael Douglas is like, she's calling for his help, and he's like holding the gator, and he's like, well, I gotta let the gator go so I can save her. And then the gun jams, and he's like, well, now I have to rock climb for an excruciatingly long length of time, and we're already past the 90-minute mark.
Yeah. So he climbs up the wall, and then of course he has to do the like slip and then grab a hold. And I'm like, Alex fucking Honnold could not re-grab the cracks between a brick while falling down. No way.
Yeah. And then he didn't even need to climb up there because she saves her fucking self. She burns him with his cigar. Yeah. He falls onto a lantern and gets set ablaze.
It's a pretty great over-the-top villain combo.
It's lovely, but then turns out the grate above the gator pit was made of styrofoam.
Yeah, he crashes right through it.
What is this made of?
I guess it was wood, but it's like, why is the gator... There needed to be, honestly, a thing where he like grabbed like the part where Danny DeVito like meets him and they're looking at these gators. He needed to have like some dude he was interrogating, and he's like, well, I have enough that I need, and like lift the grate up and throw him in so we could have seen the grate was light, and also like that he was a crazy man. I feel like that would have added to this.
I think so. So he climbs up now, and he's like, they kiss, and he's like, well, I gotta go. The police hate me.
She drops her sister. It's only like a foot, but she drops her sister onto
who just passed out.
He does that. Yes.
And then he like goes to jump off the fort and fully belly flops.
Yeah.
Like he did not angle himself right.
Nope. It looks like it hurts.
There's going to be a big old bruise all over that belly.
Some stunt performer got the snot kicked out of them.
We crossfade back to New York City. She's with Holland Taylor.
She's crying like, I just finished the book. Oh my God. I can't believe this wonderful ending where they get back together at the airport, and you're like, oh, she changed it for the book. Oh.
He swam away and then met her at the airport.
And then she's walking home, and this boat from his little picture
is giant boat on a New York City street. It looks like a fucking float in a parade.
Right. It's like a 25-foot long sailboat, but the
like he should be clipped onto it, waving to the people as it moves.
Yes, but my favorite detail is that he like puts his foot up on the railing, and they're gator skin
croc skin boots, baby.
Yeah, he's like, I tracked it down. I recognized it by the stripes, and I got the diamond back. But he died from indigestion. Like, oh Jesus.
Yeah, and I was like, I guess we're okay. I guess this is the end of the movie, and they just drive the boat down the street while they kiss.
Well, there's a vehicle towing the boat,
but like it's weird.
Point out, yes, I agree that it's weird, but it's not a magic boat.
That's the ending.
Yeah,
drive a boat down the street.
It's very shocking that that's the ending of the movie. I will say though, like, feel free to jump in whenever, like closing thoughts and stuff. Like, I really liked this. Like, adventure movies are such a sweet spot for me, and this had like such a nice, like, I know you don't love when characters get romantically together, but I thought that was like very much
it was fine
doing here. Yeah, the two of them have really good chemistry. Like, it's so logical to me that this movie was hugely successful and immediately spawned a sequel where everybody but Zemeckis came back for that. It's like, yeah, of course. Like, who wouldn't?
No
like,
shit,
I would be up for. Yeah, like, I'd take another serving of this, please. Yeah, thanks. It's like, I know it won't be as good on the second piece of cake, but I'm still gonna eat it. You know?
Yeah, I'll try it.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a super fun movie. I thank you to Barbara for throwing it out there, and I'm glad we picked it. I enjoyed the heck out of this. It's on Apple TV right now. If y'all have it for Ted Lasso season, so make sure you grab that. This was a whole lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to the rest of Listener Request Month. Seeing all three of the four picks are ones I've never seen. You've never seen before either. So that's fun. This is a hearty recommend for me. If you have not seen this, it's definitely worth.
It's long. I will say it's a little too long, but I say that about a lot of things.
It's a little bit shaggy. I would agree with you. It's an hour 45. It could be 95, but it's like mostly pretty solid all the way through. It's sort of a segmented movie.
It needed a little more DeVito, like 5% more of Danny DeVito character.
I would be very curious to see if his role is larger in the sequel, because it seems like it would have to be.
I think so.
And I wonder if it's like a Joe Pesci situation where like he comes into Lethal Weapon as a bad guy, but then he's like on the team eventually. I wonder if they're like.
I would bet they're working together.
Yeah. So maybe we'll hit that one down the road one day. It's everything I've read about says it's not nearly as good, but who knows? Might be worth the time. Well, thank you all so very much for listening to the show, and thank you again to Barbara for sending this request from Canada. This is the first we've had another country chime in, I believe, for listener request month, at least one that was picked. That's very exciting. So thank you very much for listening. Don't forget to check out patreon.com/dissectingthe80s and get bonus content for the show, all sorts of fun stuff. So go check that out there. At Dissect the 80s on Twitter and Dissecting the 80s on Facebook. We'd love to hear from you there. That's where we had our live drawing for these episodes last week. So if you missed that and you want to go check it out, go ahead and do that. And reach out anytime, dissectingthe80s@gmail.com. If you haven't done it yet, review the show. We read those on the air. It's been a while since we had one, so please go and do that. And most of all, thank you so much for listening. We're going to be back in 2 weeks for more Listener Request Month with either The Secret of My Success or...
Meatballs.
We decide what's next? Meatballs is next, right?
I don't know which one of the two is next. But
Meatballs is next. That's what I've just decided right now. We'll be back in 2 weeks with Meatballs, and we'll do Secret of My Success to round out the month. Thank you all very much for listening to the show. I've been Trip Lano.
I will always be Andrew Lano.
Until next time.
Don't you forget about me.
Dissecting the 80s is a Chum Some of This production.